LSL Stories, The Case of the Mysterious Sweater. Chapter 1. The Gift Shop Confusion. It was a busy Saturday morning when Lily decided to head to her favourite shop to buy a gift for her boyfriend, Daniel. His birthday was next week and she knew just what he needed, a green sweater. Daniel had mentioned wanting one for a while now, and Lily had found the perfect size and colour. As she entered the shop, the store clerk greeted her with a smile. "Can I help you with anything?" he asked. "Yes, please. Do you have this green sweater in a smaller size?" Lily pointed at the sweater hanging on display. The clerk nodded and walked to the back of the store. Moments later, he returned with 2 sweaters. "I have a medium and a small. Would you like to try one on?" he offered, directing her to the fitting room. "Oh no," Lily replied, shaking her head. "It's not for me. It's for my boyfriend, Daniel." "I'll take the medium. Could you wrap it up for me, please?" The clerk wrapped the sweater and handed it to her. Lily paid, thanked him, and took the receipt. She smiled, happy with her purchase. But as she walked out of the store, something felt off. Later that afternoon, Lily was walking down Prince Road when a strange thought crossed her mind. She glanced at the sweater bag, then at the receipt. The price seemed higher than expected. Curious, she decided to check the sweater. To her shock, the sweater inside was red, not green. Confused, she looked around for a place to sit and sort this out. "I must have taken the wrong bag," she thought. But how? She remembered the clerk handing her the medium green sweater. As she sat on a bench, she spotted an elderly woman nearby. "Excuse me," Lily said, walking up to the woman. "Is this the right way to the Globe Theatre?" The woman smiled kindly. "No, dear, you need to turn left, then go straight ahead until you reach Queen Street. Turn right and you'll see the theatre." "Thank you," Lily said, though her mind was still distracted by the sweater. She needed to go back to the store and ask the clerk for a change. But what if he didn't remember her? Suddenly, she felt tired. She had been walking around the town all morning, and her office job was making her feel sluggish these days. She remembered what the doctor had told her during her last visit. "Why don't you go for a walk at lunchtime? Get some fresh air and exercise," he had advised. But right now, all Lily wanted was to solve the mystery of the sweater. Determined, she headed back to the shop, wondering what could have gone wrong. She had the receipt, and she was sure the store clerk would remember her. But little did she know, this was only the beginning of the strange events to come. Chapter 2. The Vanishing Clerk. Lily rushed back to the shop, still puzzled about how the red sweater ended up in her bag. When she arrived, the shop seemed just as busy as before. She walked straight to the counter and spotted a new store clerk standing there. "Excuse me," Lily said, trying to remain calm. "I was here earlier and bought a green sweater, but when I got home, I found a red one instead. I have the receipt right here. Could you help me figure this out?" The new clerk looked confused and apologised. "I'm afraid I wasn't here earlier, but let me check the records." She tapped on the store computer for a moment and then frowned. "According to this, the only sweater sold around that time was green. Are you sure you didn't take the wrong bag?" "That's the thing. I'm sure I had the right one when I left," Lily replied, feeling a little more anxious. "The clerk who helped me was very kind. Maybe he remembers what happened." The woman looked at her and raised an eyebrow. "Do you remember the name of the clerk?" Lily paused. She hadn't asked for his name. "No, but he was young, about my age, with brown hair and glasses." The clerk shook her head. "We don't have anyone who matches that description working here today. In fact, I'm the only clerk on this shift." Lily felt a chill go down her spine. "That can't be right," she insisted. "He helped me. He brought the sweaters from the back. I even tried to return the red one, thinking it was a mistake." The new clerk smiled sympathetically. "Would you like to exchange the sweater for a green one? I can get it for you right away. I'm sorry for any confusion." Lily sighed, nodding. As the clerk disappeared into the back room to get the correct sweater, Lily stood by the counter thinking, how was it possible that the clerk who helped her earlier seemed to have vanished? And how had she ended up with the wrong sweater? Lily decided to sit at a nearby cafe to gather her thoughts. The cafe was small and cosy, with a view of the street where the shop was located. She ordered a coffee and pulled out her phone. She thought about calling Daniel to tell him about the strange experience, but she didn't want to ruin the birthday surprise. As she sipped her coffee, her thoughts wandered back to the day's events. Who was the mysterious clerk? And why had he disappeared? She glanced at the time on her phone and realised she had been sitting there for almost an hour. It was time to head home. As she left the cafe, she noticed something peculiar. Across the street, in a narrow alley, a figure stood. Someone who looked oddly familiar. The person wore glasses and had brown hair. It was the same man who had helped her earlier at the shop. Without thinking, Lily crossed the street quickly and called out, "Excuse me?" The man turned to look at her, but before she could reach him, he ducked into the alley and disappeared around the corner. Lily hesitated for a moment, but curiosity got the better of her and she followed him. The alley was dark and narrow, with the smell of old newspapers and damp walls. Lily hurried, hoping to catch up with the man. She turned the corner, but he was nowhere to be seen. The alley led to a dead end, with only a locked door and a few trash bins around. There was no way he could have left without her seeing him. Heart pounding, Lily stood there in the empty alley, wondering what on earth was going on. Who was this man, and why did it seem like he was deliberately avoiding her? Chapter 3. The Hidden Clue. Lily stood in the dark alley, her heart racing. The man had disappeared into thin air, and there was no sign of him. She looked around one last time, and, feeling a strange sense of determination, decided to head back to the store. Something didn't add up, and she was determined to find out what. When she arrived, the store had emptied out, and the lights were dim. The same store clerk from earlier was locking up for the night. "Excuse me," Lily called out, hurrying toward her. "I just saw the man who helped me with the sweaters. He was outside in the alley, but when I tried to talk to him, he vanished." The clerk looked startled. "You saw someone who looked like the man you described earlier?" "Yes, I know it sounds strange, but he was definitely there." The clerk hesitated for a moment before speaking again. "There's something I didn't mention earlier because I didn't want to alarm you. This store has had some unusual incidents over the years." "What do you mean?" Lily asked, her curiosity piqued. The clerk glanced around nervously. "A long time ago, there was a young man who worked here. A friendly guy, just like the one you described. He was very dedicated, but one day he disappeared without a trace. Some people say they've seen him around, especially in that alley you mentioned, but it's never for long." Lily felt a chill. "You mean he could be a ghost?" "I don't know what to believe," the clerk replied, "but strange things have happened in this shop. Items go missing, then reappear. People claim they've spoken to staff who don't exist." Lily was silent, trying to process everything. "But why would he help me with the sweater? And how did I end up with the wrong one?" The clerk shrugged. "Maybe he was trying to send a message. Maybe there's something about that red sweater." Lily looked down at the bag in her hand, still containing the red sweater she hadn't returned. Could there really be a clue hidden in it? She thanked the clerk and hurried home, eager to investigate. Back in her apartment, Lily spread the red sweater on her bed. It looked completely ordinary, but something about it felt off. She decided to check the label. As she turned it over, she noticed a small tear on the inside seam. Carefully, she pulled at the loose thread, and, to her surprise, a small folded piece of paper fell out. Her heart raced as she unfolded the note. Written in faded ink were the words, "Find me where the sun sets on the old city." Lily stared at the message, her mind racing. What could it mean? She thought about the city she lived in, trying to figure out where the sun would set on the old city. Then it hit her. The old part of town where the historical building stood was west of the main shopping district. There was a park there with a large sundial. Maybe that was where she was supposed to go. The next evening, as the sun began to set, Lily made her way to the old city park. The streets were quiet and the shadows grew long as she reached the sundial. It stood at the centre of the park, its bronze surface glowing in the fading light. Lily looked around, unsure of what to expect. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned and saw the same man, the store clerk or whatever he was, standing by a bench watching her silently. "You found the note?" he said softly. Lily nodded, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity. "What do you want from me? Who are you?" The man smiled sadly. "I'm just someone who made a mistake long ago. I've been stuck here, trying to fix it." "What mistake?" Lily asked, stepping closer. "The red sweater," he replied. "It belonged to someone I cared about, but I never gave it to her. I was too afraid, too busy with work. Then I disappeared, and the sweater stayed hidden, waiting for someone to find it." Lily held up the sweater. "And now I have it. What am I supposed to do?" "Wear it," the man said. "Take it to the sundial, where she used to wait for me. Maybe then I'll finally be free." Lily hesitated but slipped the sweater on. As the last rays of sunlight hit the sundial, the air around her seemed to shift. The man smiled at her one last time, his form flickering like a shadow in the wind. "Thank you," he whispered before fading away completely. Lily stood there stunned. The park was silent once more, and the sweater felt warm against her skin. She had solved the mystery, but part of her knew she'd never forget the strange encounter with the man who had once been lost in time.
I walked into the store one day, looking for a gift, I'd say. A sweater green, the perfect size, but something strange caught my eyes. Oh, the mystery of the sweater, a note hidden deep inside. The shop was quiet, not a whisper, but the truth it cannot hide. "Excuse me, sir, I need your help. Turn left, turn right, don't miss a step." The fitting room so dark and cold, but this secret's yet to unfold. Oh, the mystery of the sweater, a note hidden deep inside. The shop was quiet, not a whisper, but the truth it cannot hide. In the doctor's room I felt so tired. He said, "Get some air, it's what's required." But my mind's still turning round and round. This sweater's secret must be found. Oh, the mystery of the sweater, a note hidden deep inside. The shop was quiet, not a whisper, but the truth it cannot hide.